Genesis chapter 2 describes the location of the Garden of Eden in relationship to four rivers. Three of these rivers are known, and one is a mystery, the lost river of Eden, so to speak. Imagine a place where lush gardens flourished, exotic treasures awaited discovery, and a river flowed with gold. For centuries, the mythical river Pishon has captivated explorers and scholars, leading them on a quest to uncover the lost wonders of the Garden of Eden. Could we finally be on the brink of a groundbreaking revelation about this elusive river? What secrets lie beneath the soil of ancient landscapes? Join us as we explore the astonishing discovery of the Garden of Eden's Pishon River. The Garden of Eden, humanity's lost paradise. The Garden of Eden, first mentioned in Genesis chapter 2, verse 8, holds a central place in the Bible as a symbol of paradise and the origins of humanity. Genesis states, "And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed." This garden was more than just a home. It was a divine creation, abundant and perfect, where every need was met in harmony with nature. In the early chapters of Genesis, it's described as the garden of the Lord, emphasizing its connection to God's perfection and care. Ezekiel even calls it the garden of God, further highlighting its spiritual significance. The name Eden likely comes from the Akkadian word Edenu, derived from the Sumerian Eden, meaning plain or steppe. However, this simple word masks the grandeur that the garden represented. It was a place of unmatched beauty and abundance, described as having every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. In this garden, Adam lived in a state of perfect innocence and peace, with his needs perfectly met. It was a place where humans enjoyed an unbroken connection with their Creator, living in harmony with the natural world around them. Among the trees of Eden, two held particular significance: the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life symbolized immortality and God's eternal sustenance, while the tree of knowledge of good and evil became the focal point of humanity's first moral choice. God warned Adam not to eat from the latter tree, but as the narrative unfolds, this command would soon be broken. The story takes a pivotal turn with the creation of Eve, crafted by God from Adam's rib, as described in Genesis 2, verse 22. Her creation represents not only her equal status, but also the shared destiny between man and woman. Eve's presence brought completeness to the human experience in Eden, and together, Adam and Eve lived in a state of innocence, unashamed of their nakedness. However, their idyllic existence was interrupted by the cunning of a serpent, described as more crafty than any other wild animal. This serpent, often associated with Satan, tempted Eve to eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge, suggesting that doing so would make her, like God, knowing good and evil. Eve succumbed to the temptation, and Adam soon followed, both consuming the forbidden fruit. The immediate consequence of their disobedience was the realization of their nakedness. No longer innocent, they hurriedly sewed fig leaves together to cover themselves. Their newfound awareness wasn't just physical, it marked the loss of their pure relationship with God. When God sought them in the garden, Adam and Eve, ashamed and afraid, hid among the trees. Their guilt was evident, and when confronted, they confessed their actions. The consequences of their disobedience were severe and far-reaching. The serpent, as the instigator, was cursed to crawl on its belly and be despised by humanity. For Eve, the penalty was painful childbirth and a life of subordination to Adam, a reflection of the fractured harmony between the sexes. Adam's punishment was equally harsh. The once perfect ground of Eden would now be cursed, and he would have to toil and labor for his food. His mortal fate was sealed, for dust you are, and to dust you shall return. The banishment from Eden marked the end of paradise for Adam and Eve, but it also set the course for the rest of humanity. Their fall from grace introduced pain, suffering, and mortality into the human condition, forever altering the relationship between humans and their Creator. Eden, once a place of eternal life and divine presence, became a lost paradise, symbolizing not just the beginning of humanity, but the profound consequences of free will and disobedience. Though Adam and Eve were expelled from the garden, the story of Eden remains a powerful metaphor for the human experience. It speaks to themes of temptation, choice, and consequence, lessons that resonate deeply across time and cultures. The Garden of Eden, with its lush beauty and tragic fall, continues to capture the imagination as a timeless story of innocence lost and the enduring hope for redemption. The rivers of Eden. The location of the Garden of Eden, as described in the Bible, has long been a topic of fascination. In Genesis 2 verses 10 to 14, the text provides a vivid description of four rivers: Pishon, Gihon, Hiddekel, and Paran, or Euphrates, that flowed from a single source in Eden. These rivers, along with references to surrounding lands, have spurred debate and exploration over centuries as scholars seek to pinpoint the garden's geographical setting. Three of these rivers, Gihon, Hiddekel, and Euphrates, are particularly well known and are often mentioned in historical records. The Gihon River is said to flow around the land of Ethiopia, which refers to a region in Africa located west of the Red Sea and extending southward. While the borders of Ethiopia have changed over time, the general area remains the same as described in ancient texts. If we imagine that a river once flowed from what is now the Red Sea basin southward into Africa, through the Afar Triangle, it aligns beautifully with the idea of a river encircling the land of Ethiopia. This could suggest that the Gihon River may have followed this path, nourishing the land with its waters and gradually shaping the landscape throughout the ages. The name Hiddekel evokes feelings of sharpness, swiftness, and light. This river, identified with the Tigris River in Iraq, holds deep historical importance. Sadly, people living along the banks of the Tigris are now being forced to adapt and change their ancient ways of life. The Tigris has been linked to many significant biblical stories, including that of Jonah, who crossed this river on his mission to deliver a message to the city of Nineveh. The book of Daniel also mentions Hiddekel, where Daniel shares a vision he had by the river. In this vision, he sees a magnificent figure shining brightly, echoing the descriptions of Jesus found in the book of Revelation by the Apostle John. Both visions present a divine being with striking features, highlighting powerful spiritual experiences. A key difference lies in their settings. Daniel's vision occurs by the river Hiddekel, while John's unfolds on the island of Patmos. Despite these differences, both experiences convey a strong sense of divine presence and light. The Tigris River, which flows through Iran, Iraq, Turkey, and Syria, is the second largest river in Western Asia. Together with the Euphrates, it forms a crucial waterway system that outlines the borders of Mesopotamia within the region known as the Fertile Crescent. More than just a river, it has historically served as a vital means of transportation and irrigation for the early civilizations that thrived in this largely arid area. Today, millions of people in Syria and Iraq are facing serious water shortages as the Euphrates, the region's longest river, continues to dry up, highlighting its historical and ongoing significance. The Euphrates River is not just a river. It's a remarkable waterway that has woven its way through countless stories and legends, making it a symbol of life and endurance. This mighty river has acted as a vital source of life for many civilizations, helping them flourish with its nourishing waters throughout history. It has served many roles, as a dividing line between lands, as a route for trade and travel, and as a beacon of hope and strength during challenging times. Spanning an impressive 1,300 miles, the Euphrates is the largest river in Southwest Asia. Its journey begins where two streams meet: the Karasu River, which rises in the scenic Armenian highlands of eastern Turkey, near Erzurum, and the Murat River, originating southwest of the majestic Mount Ararat, close to Lake Van. The valley carved by the Euphrates became the heartland of great empires like Babylonia and Assyria, shaping the course of history in the region. For centuries, it marked the eastern boundary of Egyptian and Roman power, as well as the western edge of the vast Persian Empire. The Euphrates also carries deep significance in Islamic history, especially during the Battle of Karbala, where Imam Hussein and his loyal companions were martyred. In the biblical narrative, the river serves as an important landmark, symbolizing the border of the land promised to Abraham's descendants through his sons Isaac and Jacob. In Hebrew scriptures, it is often simply referred to as the river, representing a sacred covenant that stretches from the river of Egypt to the magnificent Euphrates, echoing the promise of hope and divine connection for generations to come. In the Genesis account, the Garden of Eden is depicted as being nourished by 4 rivers. Among these, 2 have been confidently identified: the Tigris and the Euphrates. To further unravel this mystery, it is essential to explore the area further south, where the Karun River converges with the Tigris and Euphrates. Many scholars believe that the Karun River is a strong contender for the Gihon, as it flows through the ancient land of Kush, historically known as the land of the Cades. Kush, located in northern Sudan, stands as one of Africa's forgotten kingdoms, steeped in rich history. At the height of its power in the 8th century BC, the kings of Kush conquered Egypt, a feat that showcased their strength and ambition. Interestingly, there are 2 regions known as Kush, one in Africa near Ethiopia and another in Central Asia, highlighting a fascinating connection between distant lands. In the ancient African Kush, situated along the banks of the Nile River in present-day northern Sudan, a remarkable civilization flourished. Despite being initially ruled by neighboring powers, the kings and queens of Kush rose to prominence, challenging some of history's most formidable empires. From approximately 1500 to 1100 BCE, Egypt exerted control over Kush, imparting its cultural and religious customs to the region. With the relationships between the garden and these 3 rivers established, the quest for the mysterious 4th river, the Pishon, continues. Havilah and the Pishon River. The land of Havilah, as described in the book of Genesis, has fascinated biblical scholars and historians for ages. Its importance comes from its supposed link to the elusive Pishon River, one of the 4 rivers said to flow from the Garden of Eden. Finding out where Havilah is located is essential to unraveling the mystery of Eden and its rivers. Genesis paints a picture of Havilah as a land overflowing with natural riches, especially high-quality gold. The text also mentions that aromatic resin and onyx were found in this region. These descriptions have spurred researchers to search for locations in the ancient Near East that might fit this image of a land filled with valuable minerals. Many scholars believe that Havilah is likely located in the Arabian Peninsula, specifically in what is now Saudi Arabia. This belief is backed by various compelling pieces of evidence and historical insights. To start, the Arabian Peninsula, especially its western part, has been known for its gold deposits since ancient times. This matches perfectly with the biblical description of Havilah. In fact, Saudi Arabia hosts the largest gold mine in the Middle East, called the Ma'ad ad-Dahab, or Cradle of Gold. This mine, along with many others in the area, has been producing gold for thousands of years, just as Havilah is described as a land rich in gold. Moreover, the mention of aromatic resin in Havilah aligns nicely with the Arabian Peninsula's history. This region has long been renowned for producing frankincense and myrrh, precious resins that were highly prized in ancient times. These aromatic substances were traded along the famous incense route, which stretched from southern Arabia northward, passing through regions some researchers believe could be where Havilah was located. The mention of onyx, another valuable resource tied to Havilah, adds to the connection with Arabia. Various types of semi-precious stones, including onyx, have been mined in the Arabian Peninsula for centuries. Geographically, Havilah's position relative to other places mentioned in Genesis also supports the idea that it is in Arabia. The biblical text notes that Havilah is located east of Egypt and towards Assyria, which aligns well with the location of the Arabian Peninsula. This combination of geographical clues and historical evidence makes a strong case for Havilah's identification with this vibrant and resource-rich region. Another intriguing piece of evidence that supports the connection to Havilah